Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Thought Leaders. I'm your host, Chris Shang, and today we have Jeffrey Jacobs, who's the CTO and founder of AltaSQL.io. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeffrey.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Tell us a little bit about AltaSQL and what you guys do, what kind of company you guys work with, and whole nine.
Alta SQL is fairly unusual in a lot of respects. First of all, it was up until very recently, it was known as snowbuilder.io. Um, this is actually something I've been working on for a number of years. It's hard to sum up, but basically what it is, we call it a relational metadata management system. And the whole intent is that the productivity for working with SQL, select statements and views is painful, slow, and non-productive. So what we've built is a very easy to use, very robust, you could call it a platform, but there's not really a good name for it, that automates the whole process. So we take the metadata starting from your existing database and database objects. We plug that all into a metadata schema, and then we use that to automate the generation of primarily select statements and create view statements is the primary focus. And we're focused on making this as widely available within an organization as possible. So among other things that are fairly unique, we're going to have 4 versions, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But all the versions will have unlimited usage, unlimited repositories, unlimited view definitions, and unlimited users. So a little different than the usual business model. This is pretty much a one-man effort. I've been building these kinds of generators and transformation tools for many, many years. And the current version is basically, I decided that I've spent most of my life as an independent consultant and was ready to make a change, and also wanted to build something that I would buy and that I could take my expertise, and instead of just having one customer, could have many customers. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the background. I can do some demos if you like, but it's something we managed to get a patent for. And it's a patent on the business process. It's not some little piece of software hidden deep in the innards of the system. It's has some solid theory behind it, I like to think. And it's also not Snowflake specific. So at some point, we're going to hope to find some other people who want to license it and build it.
Fair enough. Very cool. I would like to kind of just talk about, you mentioned you've been a freelance consultant for a good chunk of time, but how did you get into, engineering in the first place? What was the origination story behind that? Were you the kid in the garage that dad just bought a computer and started with it? That's a fairly common story for those that end up in in your type of roles, but I'm just curious as to what that was like for you.
Well, we have to go way back in history on this one. So my first exposure to computers, my father was a property manager, and General Electric had a data center in one of his buildings. And they let me sit down and play with it and play blackjack. And I beat the computer. It's like, I'm young, I don't know any better. I was going, oh, this is really cool. So that kind of stuck with me. I was always kind of probably a nerdy kid, always focused on math and science. But I didn't really get into it till my freshman year at the University of Denver. I was not real sure what I wanted to do, so I was taking all my requirements classes so that when I did decide what I wanted to do, I'd have all the requirements filled. And I had an interest in computers at the time, like anybody. So I took a class, which I had just an excellent, amazing instructor who took us from logic gates through assembly language and Fortran. And it was just a great experience. And I got pretty hooked on it. And at that point, I was still kind of undecided, young. I'd been playing in theater for a couple of years, but decided that was a good way to starve to death. So I ended up going to the University of California at Irvine and majored in computer science. And once again, I lucked out. I had one of my fellow undergraduates was literally a certifiable genius. And he had been told, he worked for, I don't remember, one of the aerospace companies, and been told he couldn't get ahead without a degree. So he came back to get a degree, and he mentored me for 2 years. We spent 18 hours a day in the lab. We almost never went to class. We managed to get into working with the graduate students. We published, we did research, we did TA. And then my first job out of college was consulting. And most of my career ever since has been as an independent consultant. So the early days were mostly aerospace type work. But in the basically late 80s, early 90s, I transitioned into data, primarily Oracle. I've been an Oracle expert, so I'd like to claim most of my career. So back in the 90s, in particular, when it comes to metadata and generation, I was one of the leading experts in what was called Oracle Case and Oracle Designer. And that's, certainly one of my areas of background that's probably most well known, because that my buddy Kent Graziano and I started a group, was originally called the Oracle Case SIG, then became the Oracle Development Tools User Group, which was focused primarily on Designer and the Oracle development tools. Did that for a number of years. Came to a point where I realized that their next release was going to be problematic. So went into doing some other things, went in and built, as I like to put it, we built the websites that people pour money into. Actually, as I like to phrase it, we built the furnaces that people poured money into during the web boom. Um, and they're kind of bounced around for the last few years, again, mostly as an Oracle consultant. And I went to work for an Oracle a brief time. I guess I went to work there in 2017. After a little over a year, I left and decided that there wasn't really a future in Oracle consulting. And I'd fallen madly in love with Snowflake. So then the next few years was working with Snowflake. And that's where I probably created the first version of what I called Snow Builder. It was an interesting project for DocuSign. They had 7 ClickSense applications that were the result of years of copying and pasting and copying and pasting. So they were all similar. They all ended up pretty much with the same naming conventions, but they all got there different ways. So I ended up building something and taking a lot of the technology that I built in-house and built an in-house development tool, which enabled me to deliver all 7. They wanted to convert it to Snowflake views, to deliver all 7 views with consistent naming. And that's where I came up with the whole concept of what I called extract, load, and virtual transform. From there, ended up in COVID with a long-term contract with the state of California, where for legal reasons, I couldn't actually bring my technology in. So I built them some custom generators. And that was a rather unique one-off because it was all coming from Salesforce and it was all Kafka streams. So we built, again, a unique, this was a custom one-off. So most of my career, I've been building custom one-offs. And after that contract came to an end, I decided that let's see if I can leverage, as I said, instead of one customer or 2 customers at a time, build something that I want to build that works the way I want it to work and takes most of the grunt work out of writing SQL. So that's how we ended up with Snow Builder. And then recently, let's see, I guess, let me think. I started on that full-time development a year ago in July. We realized that while it's a great product and great technology, adaptation was still an open issue because it's actually very, very robust. And it takes a while for organizations to transform from the current way they're doing to a new way of doing. So that's essentially what the ultimate goal is. So quite recently, we decided to change the name to Alta SQL, which had some other issues. We had some issues with the name Snow Builder. So we changed the name to Alta SQL, and we decided on a completely new business model, same technology, but now we have also planned an upward migration path for customers, starting with a free version. The free version has some limited functionality, but it has most of the major features. It's just designed to only work with single objects as opposed to being able to do joins. So they can work with that for quite a while. They can develop select statements. They can work with repositories. They can create expressions. They can do many, many things. The thing that's kind of missing from the free version is the ability to work with multiple source objects. So the first paid version now enables you to work with multiple source objects. And we have some very unique technology. We have what we call plug and play, where we decouple the select statement from a view from the from clause and the post from clause, and allow you to actually take them as modular pieces and put them together. So that's one of the main features of both generating select statements and generating views. And the thing that we focused on, and that was kind of a change in my viewpoint, and you should interrupt me if you have any questions.
No, it's all good.
So one of the things that I recognized early last July was as I was generating views, because the original thing was all about building very sophisticated, what I call virtual pipelines, by using views and views referencing views. And as I was working through it, and I like to eat my own dog food, I looked at it and go, wait a minute, this is a great feature for end users, because end users are just going to do selects. So even though I have roughly 50 functions or so in Alta SQL, the end users are probably going to use maybe 3 or 4. Most of them are for more hardcore developers developing views. So our take is that an organization isn't really going to get into developing these kinds of views until they've worked with the rest of the product for a while. They can still create views because they're all generating select statements. One of the key features about Alta SQL is that it doesn't execute the generated SQL. Okay, so we generate a select statement, and if you like, I'll show you what one of those looks like. So I can see what one looks like.
Yeah, sure, let's do it. Let me just go ahead and enable this real quick.
Let's see if I can remember the right one. Well, it's just. Oh, that should have been executed. Well, let's look. We'll pull this one in. So this is actually a create view statement. So what the select statement looks like, it's hard to read here. Yeah, this one doesn't do the greatest job of formatting it. So the select statement, let's go grab another one. Be a little easier to read probably. Okay, so the select statements are all generated as column aliases. And this actually has a huge number of features. First of all, it eliminates the need for select star. Because, and I don't know, how familiar are you with Snowflake?
Somewhat.
Okay. Well, one of the couple of the features that they recently introduced were the ability to do select star with an exclude and a replace and a rename feature. But you have to give it the column names, and you have to build a select statement to begin with. So what you can do here is simply say, well, I want to get rid of a column. So all I have to do is comment it out. Oops, it's not, sorry, I gotta respond to MFA here.
Do you want to share your screen?
Well, I guess I could do that. Let's see. Zoom share. Sure. Okay. All right. So as I was saying,
There we go.
um, out of curiosity, how well does the dark show up on your screen?
It's clear. It's good.
Okay. Yeah. We're we've been having an internal discussion about dark versus light mode for demos. So as I was saying, you'll see that it is column alias format. All the select statements, whether it's for our create view or select statements, are all in this format. Okay, so that lets us do name transformations. So one of the other demos I have is instead of being in English, I have Dutch and German. And this is all done by metadata. You don't have to write anything. You either, the functions, a lot of the functions are simply modifying the metadata, and it looks very much like the SQL that you're used to, or you can also do it in spreadsheets.
Hmm.
So as you see here, I basically, let's get rid of say we have the customer ID. If I want to get rid of the customer ID, I guess I'll have to watch my time. Right out of the box, as soon as you create a repository. And this is exactly what the free version will look like in terms of its capabilities. You'll see that all of the source columns are fully qualified with the database in the schema. Okay, once you get beyond the free version, now you can actually do this with full qualification, schema qualification, or table alias qualification. And this is all done in metadata. We estimate that we can eliminate more than 90% of keystrokes and copying and pasting.
Hmm.
Because the other thing you can do is you can put expressions into the metadata so that it automatically incorporates them. Or one of the fun things here is if you're doing select star, you can just easily edit this statement. In fact, one of the demos, we do 8 or 9 statements, select statements, without ever writing the word select again, just using this format and
Interesting. Can you
commenting.
show us what that looks like?
Sorry?
Could you show us what that looks like?
Sure, if you can refresh what I just said.
Yeah, the statements and being able to do it without typing in select.
Oh, well, here we did that by, we got rid of this column.
Got it.
Let's say we want to, oh, we actually have gotten rid of 2 columns. Well, let's rename this column. Let's call it, typing has gotten so bad. That's one of the reasons I built this. And let's uncomment it. And execute it. And you'll see here now the column is called account number.
Hmm.
Okay. And I could add an expression here, except that I probably can't do it real time. So I could type in and I could comment everything out. I probably have that in one of these demos. And then, of course, as I said, we have the translation version. So what we did here, I think I need to execute this, which will probably require me to hit MFA again. As I said, feel free to interrupt if you have questions.
Oh no, I'm watching.
This is really probably one of the first demos I've done of this in any detail because we've been trying to record them. Let's see. Dual mobile. No, we're good. Okay. So, oh, we've already shown you this one, so let's grab another one. So the first thing that we did here, which you'll see, oops, wrong one again. Sorry. No, yeah. I forgot that we'd already shown that one. I just executed everything in advance, so you didn't have to
Oh, no
watch
worries.
it run. Okay. So one of the things that I keep harping on occasionally on LinkedIn is if you want to do AI to generate queries for you, it really needs to be in some kind of natural language. That'll work for like a camel case would probably be okay, but some more cryptic stuff, it's not going to be able to interpret. So what we let you do, one of the types of transformations is a name transformation. And if we get time, I'll show you what the repository looks like. So then we took this and let's see, what's the next language? Translated it into a different language.
Hmm.
We actually got ChatGPT to do the translation for us, but you can use any automatic translation tool.
Okay.
So now you have it in, this is German, and then the next one is Dutch. So let's come back over here. Let's see where we would be in place. If, oh, here we go. Yeah. And maybe we can do it with this one. Oh, table. Sorry, table. I may not be in the right place. There we go. So this is what the repository looks like. And you'll see we have, in particular, everything is interpreted by the source column data type. So this is basically how we have managed to do all these translations. We have a full data metadata catalog feature that we call Alta SQL tags, which is sort of JSON-like, except that it's just implemented as in the structure. And we have the equivalent, we have what we call the tag class and the tag name. Let's see how we're doing on time. So let's see if we got one more that's kind of interesting to show here. Yeah. Okay. See if we can. So this is, and let's be sure this is going to work before I start talking.
Sure.
Oops. No. I'm going to come back and there was one I wanted before that. Yeah, this one. So this is what we call plug and play. Sorry. Ah, shoot. Sorry.
No worries.
I just wanted this one. I should know better to do live demos ad hoc, but it's fun. Okay, so If we have multiple source objects, which we do here, we don't really have the information to do joins. We could pull in primary keys and foreign keys, but remember that we're pulling the metadata and in large part converting this away from the primary key and foreign keys. So one of the things we call is plug and play. So if you have a multi-source object, you need to fill in the joins, basically. We're not saying we eliminate all typing, just most. You need to fill in the joins, or you can create subqueries or whatever you want in this. So one of the things that we do is we have, as I said, this metadata catalog. Okay, so what you can do is you can put the from clause and the post from clause into an alt SQL tag. And then when you go to generate, and I will show you that right here, this statement, okay, what this will do is automatically pull in the from clause and the, we didn't do it post from clause, automatically pull in the from clause from the metadata repository. So now you can plug and play, you can create sophisticated select statements, and you can do this with the views as well. And if I've got enough time, I'll show a view real quick. And now when we run this, as we just saw, we actually have the join. So now you can create sophisticated select statements and plug them into different data sources. Oh, we actually did this as a view. Cool, even better. Because I can show the last feature that I wanted to show. Okay, so here here's the join. I didn't write this. I didn't type it. All I did was take the text from what I had before, write the join, and stick it in the metadata. The other big thing about this is views are notoriously painful to build because of the column list. So what we've done is we generate the column list from the metadata, properly ordered. We add comments where appropriate. One of the things that we do when we pull in the metadata from the information schema is we actually add a little tag in there to capture the original data type, because we don't use the physical data type anywhere in the product, but it's helpful to know. So we pull that in, and you can easily copy that out. And you'll see down here, we actually have a primary key. So now you can reorder this. You can turn it on or off. And in Snowflake, you can also generate the dynamic data masking here and the Snowflake tags, which by hand is just a nightmare. And this is why one of the main reasons people don't do views is because doing anything with a column list is so painful and so error prone. We automate it completely. So that pretty much wraps everything I'd want to demo.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Anything else you wanted to share?
Just want to thank you for inviting me and
course.
letting me talk this much.
Of course, it's super interesting. Want to say thank you so much for taking the time
Oh yeah,
showing.
there is one. I'm sorry, there is one more thing I want to add. This should be available on the Snowflake Marketplace within the next few weeks.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'll be happy to share one for you privately if you like. Otherwise, you can wait till it's available.
Well, we'll see when it's available. Thank you so much.
Thank you.